Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirani here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my kitchen. Today, that's what we're talking about, how a simplified kitchen can make your life so much easier. When you're trying to cook healthy meals for you and your family, it's easy to believe that you need like the newest gadgets, every little small appliance, all of the utensils. But really, that's not true. It's 100 times simpler to work in your kitchen, to make meals, to maintain the kitchen when it's simplified and when you have less. So today I'm going to talk to you about 6 ways that you can simplify your kitchen. And I encourage you to look around your kitchen and maybe try even a couple of these, even just experiment with them. You don't have to commit, just try them for a little bit and see if you agree. Number 1 is clearing your counters. Your counters are meant to be workspace, not storage space. So when you look around your kitchen, do you see a lot of working space, or do you have to move stuff out of the way and like consolidate piles to make room to cook dinner? I have been slowly doing this over probably the last couple of years. I've just slowly gotten rid of a few things here or there that would sit out on my kitchen counters, often decorative stuff or appliances that we used once in a while that in my mind, I don't know, I guess I just thought they always were supposed to sit on your counter, like your toaster, things like that. So slowly I would move those things out. And then lately, just within like the last few months, I've moved even more off of my counters. So sometimes when I look at my kitchen, sometimes I feel like it looks a little empty, but then at the same time, there's still stuff out. It's not bare. And it makes cleaning up so much easier. It makes prepping anything so much easier. And I don't miss anything that used to be out on my counters. So some examples of this, I had some decor out that I got rid of. I used to have my KitchenAid stand mixer on my counters. For one, because it's heavy, and I use it often enough. I guess I really didn't think about how often I use it. And it's pretty. It's like bright red. I liked it. I thought it looked great on the counters. And I moved it around a little bit, kept it here for a while, then moved it over there. And then finally I was like, how about if I just move it to the basement? Because I'm using it maybe twice a month. A lot of times I'm much more likely just to mix something by hand with a whisk than get out my mixer, unless I think it'll be significantly easier with the mixer. I moved it down to the basement and I thought this will be the test. Will I actually go down to the basement and bring it back up, or will it just always sit down there? And you know what? I will go down and get it and bring it up when I need it. Again, it's twice a month maybe. And that is a bit far to be lugging around a big stand mixer. So if I had a closer place to keep it, I probably would have done that. But it works for me, at least for right now. If I get into a season where I'm baking all the time, like actually during Christmas when I was making cookies and like doing a lot of Christmas baking, then I brought it up, I left it out for a good week because I wasn't gonna lug it up and down the stairs every single day. But then as soon as I knew I was back to normal and only doing a little bit of baking, back to the basement it went. Now, the only things that live on our counters are things that we use every day and usually multiple times a day. So we have the espresso maker. My husband drinks espresso at least twice a day, so that sits out. My dish soap, I leave out. I leave out my giant cutting board because it really just is counter space now. It lives here all the time. I use it every single meal I prep. I'm cutting something, so this just lives here all the time. I left out my oil because again, I cook multiple meals a day and almost every meal, 99% of them, I'm using olive oil. And then our air fryer / toaster oven sits out because again, we use it all the time. We use it to make toast. We use it to reheat things. I use it sometimes just to roast up, vegetables for just the two of us. I don't feel like using the big oven. I just use the toaster oven. I used to, until just recently, I had a crock of utensils that sat out. And my argument for that was we use something from that multiple times a day. But then I got thinking about it and I was like, kind of gave myself a little challenge. Could I find another place for those utensils to live? My current drawer that holds most of my utensils and like eating utensils and cooking utensils is pretty full. So I knew they weren't going to fit there. I found a place very near where the crock sat. I bought a divider. I added the utensils in there. I had to move one thing out, which was a couple trivets, like big pot holders that I just use in the dining room when I'm like placing hot dishes down. So I moved those to the dining room, and now they live here. And that was one less thing on the counter. And in reality, it actually works better. So win-win. So I encourage you, look around your countertops and see what could you remove. Is there decor that just sits there taking up space that you have to clean around? Is that where you pile mail? Maybe find a different place to pile mail. Do you have like small appliances all over the counter? Is there another place they could live? We'll get to that in a minute. What is on your kitchen counter? What could you reduce to just make space? Again, it makes it easier to work, to cook, to prep food, but it also makes it so much easier to wipe down counters and make the kitchen clean. Next, number 2 is to remove or limit, I guess would be a better word, limit your duplicates. Think about the things in your kitchen that you have multiples of. Some things you do want multiples of. It makes sense. Sometimes you just sort of randomly ended up with multiples and you have your favorite one that you always use. So why do you have the second, third, or fourth one? Simple examples of this: rubber spatulas. Yeah, you might need more than one, but do you need 5? Probably not. How many like pancake turners do you need? 1, 2, 5? Probably 1 or 2. Think about everything that you have. Do you have multiple sets of measuring cups or measuring spoons? Do you have like how many knives do you have? That's an easy one to look at. And I know right now I have too many knives, but I can't decide which knives I would get rid of. So I'm thinking about that for a little bit. I do want to get rid of a couple more knives just to make space, because when everything's all crammed together, when you have so many things, do you ever try to open a drawer that gets jammed because there's too much packed in? That's frustrating. And then when you have a bunch of things that you have to dig through and look through to find the one thing that you need, it makes working in the kitchen so much simpler, so much easier, so less stressful when you only have the items that you need. So look at the things that you have duplicates of, pick out your favorite. And now you don't have to commit to donating them or throwing them away. You can do what I would call a time will tell box, where you take either maybe a Rubbermaid container, an actual cardboard box. I actually, for the kitchen, I have a little area down in the basement that I sort of use as my time will tell shelf. So when there's something in my kitchen that I'm thinking of getting rid of, but I don't want to commit quite yet because I'm afraid I might make the wrong decision and get rid of something that I really want later on, I move it to that box or that space. Because then you can experiment. You can see what it's like to not have it. If you miss it and you realize, oh, I forgot about every week when we do that one thing, we do need 2 of those. So then you bring it back, and no harm, no foul. But after, a few weeks or a couple of months, if you haven't gone to get anything out of that box or off that shelf, you've time tested it. You know that you can let it go. So let it go. Number 3, this is where we're going to come back to that small appliances thing. There are certain small appliances that can be very, very beneficial, very useful, whether it's your coffee maker, your espresso machine. I use my food processor all the time. I use my air fryer / toaster oven all the time. But there are other ones that you might have that you use rarely, and sometimes you only use it because you have it. Like I'm thinking to myself, we have a panini press that we do occasionally, maybe once a year, pull out and make paninis. But if I didn't have that and I wanted to do something like a panini, I would probably just either use a cast iron pan or maybe my grill pan and make it that way. I really don't need the panini press, so I could probably let that go. So think of your appliances. Do you often use your blender, or do you just have a blender because you thought people were supposed to have blenders? Do you have an electric can opener that, yeah, you use because it sits on your counter, but could you get rid of it and just use like a handheld can opener? I mean, they make really good ones now that are really easy to use, that I feel like an electric can opener is kind of unnecessary. What do you have that you could maybe put in timeout, put in that time will tell area or that time will tell box, and see if you really need it? Because sometimes, again, we use it because we have it, but if we didn't have it, there are other options. There are other things we could use, other ways we could do things. Experiment, especially if they are living on your counters. If you're not willing to even put them in a time will tell, maybe just see if you can find another place for them to live. Some of the small appliances that you use once or twice a year, store them like far away, in the basement, in the garage, even in the pantry if that's like all you have. Something to get them out of your kitchen. Think of your kitchen as prime real estate. The only thing that should be in your kitchen is the stuff that you use all the time. So a real life example here is my toaster. We used to have a toaster that we kept on the counter because we used it quite often. In the effort to try to clear off the counters a little bit, I found a spot in a cupboard underneath where we used to use it, and I kept it there for the longest time. Then when we got the air fryer slash toaster oven, we started just sort of making our toast in there because it was right there already out, easy to use. So I moved the toaster to sort of like a time will tell area in the basement, thinking if we need it, it's there. But we found out now we didn't use it. We just used the toaster oven, and therefore I get rid of my toaster. So you can experiment like slowly. Like if it's something that's on your counter, you're afraid to get rid of it, maybe just hide it. If you can find another something to do, move it further away. And then if you don't go for it, you don't go find it, you don't go dragging it back into the kitchen, let it go. So number 4, for simplifying your kitchen and making it easier to use, would be to store things where you use them. Now, if you are like setting up your kitchen for the first time, it's easy to just sort of store things maybe where they were in our childhood home or where they were in our last home. So if, the glasses were always like to the right of the sink, you might just automatically put them there. But maybe that's not how this kitchen works. Maybe that's just not how you operate. So start thinking about where you use things. If you have a very small kitchen, you probably have a lot less options here. But then at the same time, it doesn't matter as much because your kitchen is small. Even if you have to cross the kitchen, those 2 steps, it's not a big deal. If you have a big kitchen with lots of storage, if you have things on the wrong side of the kitchen from where you use it, it could cause you like lots of extra steps, lots of extra time to get things done. So it's important. It makes life easier. It's like so much easier to cook dinner when everything you need to cook dinner is right here and you're not running all over the kitchen looking for stuff. So some examples. Near your stove is probably where you want your pans, where you want your spices. Now, spices not like directly above the stove. You don't want them in like a hot spot. Hot, like, heat from the oven, but somewhere handy when you're at the stove. You probably want pot holders there as well as cooking utensils like spatulas, pancake flippers or tongs or that type of thing near the stove. Near where you prep dinner, you probably want your cutting boards, your knives, maybe colanders, that type of things that you're using when you're chopping and preparing ingredients for dinner. If you bake, having all of your baking items together and hopefully in the area where you actually bake, like have your flours, your sugars, your extracts, your measuring cups, measuring spoons, that type of thing. Maybe that's all in a separate area. And if you don't have an area nearby or something that's easy, even binning that stuff all up and keeping it in the pantry, like one big bin. So when you're baking, it's like, get the baking bin and bring it out and bake and then put it all back in. Make it easy to do what you are doing. And number 5, sometimes storing things where you use them is great, but other times it makes sense to store things so that they're easy to put away. And I'm thinking of things like plates and glasses, keeping those near the dishwasher or the dish drainer just for putting stuff away makes it easier. So when you wash dishes, if most of your dishes are plates, then plates should be close to the dishwasher. If most of your dishwasher is filled with glasses and coffee cups and baby bottles or sippy cups or whatever it might be, then all of that stuff should be stored near the dishwasher to make putting away simple and fast and easy. And lastly, number 6 is to create some foundational kitchen habits to keep your kitchen ready to use. For me, my number 1 habit here is I sort of reset the kitchen after I use it. So any meal, whether breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I prep the meal, we eat the meal, and then the kitchen gets cleaned up. Things don't just sit for breakfast all day until someone feels like doing the dishes. The kitchen gets reset so that when I step in to make the next meal, whether it's that day or the next day, the kitchen's ready to go. Even if I want to step in to make a snack, the kitchen's not a mess. I don't have to move big dishes out of the sink to make some space to get my colander in there. It's already emptied out. The kitchen is reset after every meal. Along those same lines is dishes. Everybody thinks of doing dishes a little bit different. Some people find it to be a horrible chore that they don't want to do. And I am a firm believer that if you find dishes to be a horrible chore, that it's probably because you're not doing them often enough. If you save up all of your dishes for days until you run out of dishes to use or your kitchen sink is overflowing, you've waited too long. And now it is a horrible chore. But if you do the dishes often, it's quick and easy and fast. If you are always doing the dishes after every meal, it's like a 1-minute thing. I have a couple plates, a couple glasses, wash them up, leave them to dry, they're done. Or quick rinse and put them in the dishwasher, done. And this is true for a lot of different chores. If the chore is horrible, it's probably because you're not doing it often enough. So our habit for dishes is during the day, the dishwasher gets filled, or there's a handful of things that we're always just hand washing during the day as well. So things get washed, put in the dish drainer, things get rinsed, put in the dishwasher. And then at the end of the day, soap goes in the dishwasher, we turn it on, dishes get washed overnight. And then when someone comes down, in our house it's usually my husband, but not always, one of the first things that happens in the morning is the dishwasher gets emptied. And then the dish drainer gets emptied. And then dishes are set back to 0 and we're ready to start the day again. If you think to yourself, oh my God, I could never do dishes or take care of all the dishes in the morning because that's just too much time. Again, I think it's because you're waiting too long. If you have no dishes to do, you're just taking care of the dishes that are clean already. I've timed it multiple times. At the most, when I've had a bunch of dishes, full dishwasher, and then my dish drainer full as well, at the most 5 minutes. Typically, the dishwasher and the drainer can be emptied, everything put away in 2 to 3 minutes. So at the most 5 minutes. That's really not that much time. And as long as you're putting stuff in the dishwasher throughout the day, then that too is really quick and easy. It's when you let them build up is when the problem comes. So get a good dishes habit in place. And then another sort of foundational thing would be to close your kitchen at night. So at the end of the evening, before you go to bed, you've already been doing dishes all day, or after dinner, dishes got done. It might just be starting the dishwasher and you're good to go. But oftentimes after dinner, someone had something to drink or had a snack, so there might be a couple extra dishes floating around or something on the counters that was left out. Just take a couple moments, pick that stuff up, get the last couple dishes done, make sure the kitchen is put to bed and all set, closed, and just done for the day. This might even include a quick sweep of the floor if, like crumbs. That's one of my pet peeves, is walking into the kitchen and feeling crumbs under my feet. So I sweep my kitchen all the time. But again, the more you do it, then it's just a quick 30-second thing. It's not a big deal. If you had a bad night, you were tired, you're like, you know what, I cannot put my kitchen to bed tonight, and you don't, then make it a habit of first thing when you get up in the morning, you spend a few minutes putting the dishes away and then wiping up the counters, sweeping the floor. Again, if your counters are empty, it takes 30 seconds to grab a dish rag or a cleaning rag and wipe down your counters. It's quick and easy and fast when things are clear. So while you might not want to implement all of these all at once, I get that. Pick one. Start with one. Try it out. Get a time will tell bin, get rid of some of your duplicates, or put a couple small appliances away, or just get rid of a couple that you know you don't need. Or look at your counters and move stuff off, make some space. Do something to help simplify your kitchen, because we live there. We spend so much time in our kitchen. It is the heart of the home. Make it work for you. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a great day.